Good evening and a warm welcome to one and all present here. On behalf of Pattarai, I welcome each one of you to this workshop. We are very much glad to have you all here. Being in a competitive world, it's always an important part to know about more software and technologies to keep ourselves in the race. So knowing about them becomes necessary. So let's make this session more interactive and effective. Before introducing the speaker, I have a few general instructions to be told. All the participants, make sure that you guys have the workshop in progress role. This is mandatory, okay? Go to the roles channel, which is just below the general channel. Scroll up in the roles channel and you will find a message which tells you to react to that message to get the workshop in progress role. So do react to that message and make sure that you guys get this role. And also guys, please change your nicknames to your full names so that it will be easy for us to take the attendance, okay? So there are few people who are here with your nicknames. Please do change your nicknames to your original names, okay? Please make sure that you guys get into the stream. There are two streams going on. You can join any one of the stream and make sure that you guys watch the stream that is going on, okay? Guys, this session is also live streamed on our YouTube channel where you can refer for clarifications in the future. Also participants, if you have any doubts, please feel free to unmute and ask your doubts then and there. Be interactive guys. If at all you are not able to unmute, you can post your doubts in the coders chat channel by tagging Fabian Anna. And also guys, if you face any difficulties in using Discord or any other issues, do tag the events committee and we guys will help you to sort out the problem. Okay, so let me now introduce the speaker. Here we have a speaker, Mr. Fabian Ferno, who is the co-founder of Pattarai. And he is currently doing his third year IT and he has 3 years of professional experience in developing and designing. He loves building scalable, cross-platform, decentralized apps, IoT systems and multimedia. He is one of the talented and hardworking recipients who has done many projects and has participated in many hackathons and competitions, and also he has won in many of them. The participants, let's make sure that we make the most out of this. Happy learning guys. Let's now kickstart our session. Over to you, Fabian Anna.
Yeah, perfect. That was a nice introduction, Agnes.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. So I'm audible, right? Everybody, can I have
Yes,
a yes?
Anna, you're clearly audible.
Okay.
You can go ahead, Anna.
Cool. One thing I'd like to put forth before we begin the workshop, we have this channel called Coders Chat. Is it visible to everybody? I'll do a quick tag over there. So whenever I put any message or whenever I give any task for you to complete, you would just right click on the, you would react to that message. Does that work for y'all?
Yes.
Perfect. I can see already 25 to, yeah. So to the ones who don't know what, how to react to a message, you just go to a message, right click on it and react, or you just click on the icon which basically is your reaction. Okay, shall we do that?
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah, so this is the backend web development workshop, and I think most of you know what web development is, and to start with, we will have a few agenda in hand so that I don't want to waste your time. So I've split the entire workshop into basically 4 sessions, 4 sub chapters, and you can, it's totally up to you. You can stay for the first session, you can stay for the second session. It's totally up to you. And if you feel comfortable, and if you say I already know this sub chapter, or I already know this stuff, so it feels boring, and if you feel something like that, you can always feel free to join us at a later point during the sub chapters. Okay, so yes. Cool. Am I visible?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'll be streaming, our agenda. Let's look at what the technologies we'll be putting our hands into, and to the ones who, okay, let me have another question. So how many of you know what a backend is? Quickly go and react to the chat. We have 5, 6, 7. Cool. We have 90. We have 74, and 16 of you know what a backend is. And if you find it uncomfortable or going to the channel and reacting, you can always open Discord on your mobile phone. It helps you open the chat easily and you can quickly react. That will be helpful. Cool. We have more than 20. Okay. Anyway, we look at what a backend is essentially. So the entire agenda goes like this. So I've split the entire workshop. The first part of the workshop is basically understanding what backend is. You say front end, you say backend, and people talk all these fancy buzzwords, APIs and things like that. So this is where, in the first part, this is where we understand what a backend is, understand the core crux of what we actually do in the backend and why things should be done in the backend. And you can also call this the kitchen of your entire app. So the next part of the workshop would be understanding what Node is and how you can use Express and what is Express, and you'll understand a few concepts, packages. You'll understand how you can import modules, build modules, and there's a bonus to it. You will be learning TypeScript, at least the basics of TypeScript, and another bonus is learning Postman testing. Postman is another way you test backend, and we thought we'll include it in the workshop so that it helps you test the backend as and when you develop it. So the third chapter would involve us working on databases. We will be looking at the types of databases. We'll be looking at NoSQL and why there are fundamentally different paradigms of databases. So we will be understanding what these databases are and why and where should we use these databases and things like that. And we will also be learning a few tools that will help us build our database. We will be learning a few tools that will help us interact with our database. Okay, and finally we'll look at how we can protect our backend. How we protect. You have all these cyber security attacks. You have all these DDoS attacks, and all the dark side of the web. So this part of the workshop will involve you safe protecting your entire app, or at least the backend. In a way, you authorize people before letting them use your app, right? So this is where you come and do all those authorization. And of course, at the end of the entire workshop, you will be able to build a fully functional API. You will be able to build a fully functional backend with ExpressJS and TypeScript. And not just that, you will be learning how you can structure your project in a way you can scale it up to enterprises. There's another concept called enterprise grade software. Have you heard of it? Can anybody say what's an enterprise grade software? I mean, anybody can unmute and talk. And another thing I want in this workshop is people to unmute and talk, and I want people interacting more, talking to me. You get that? So what comes to your mind when I say enterprise grade software? Enterprise grade apps. I'm audible, right?
Oh yes.
Yes. Can somebody tell me what an enterprise grade software is? Anybody from the crew? Come on, it doesn't need to be accurate, just say something, no?
Considering the word enterprise,
Mhm.
it could be related to some organization. Since I don't have experience, I'm just telling.
An organization, okay, that's one word. Anybody else?
Yeah, organization in sense business, something business related.
Yeah.
Yeah, schools, colleges might come under the category.
Okay, something pertinent to softwares and apps come into the context of app development and things like that. Can anybody get the context here? Okay, never mind. So basically, enterprise grade softwares are, you have all these big companies, you have all these SaaS products, you have Zoho, you have you have one sec. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry for the disturbance. So you have all these enterprise grade softwares. So basically, when I say enterprise, it means building a software in a way it's able to serve thousands, more or less tens and thousands of customers. You know, you have all these audience who will be basically using your application, who will be using your software, and this will be in a scale of not hundreds, not 50s or tens. This will be in a scale of tens, millions, thousands, and so on. Okay, so all these softwares where you serve more than a couple of 100,000 people, you call them an enterprise grade software. And in order to serve those kind of software applications, you needed to build a backend that's rigorous enough. You need to build a backend that's able to handle all these requests. You need to be building an app. You need to build a backend that is able to scale up in terms of development. Okay, so we will be building all of that in the upcoming throughout the workshop. Am I being clear here? Are we still on the same page?
Yes.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the first part. We have the backend, and before I get to get going with the workshop, I need to know something, and let's have a roll count of how many of you are from LICET in here, from the college LICET, Loyola ICAM. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, so whenever I say backend, let's imagine this entire scenario. Okay, let's take a hotel. Okay, let's just tell me if you can see my screen. I'm visible, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so in order to understand the entire concept of backend, front end, and the entire paradigm, let's take your app. Your app is essentially a service. Okay, compare it with a hotel. You have a hotel which is serving people with food. So any business or any business solution that you are providing, essentially you provide some sort of a service. Okay, take this hotel. You have a hotel, and in this hotel you have customers, and these customers are basically the users of your app. Okay, and what would users do when they come to come to a hotel. They'll probably sit on their chair, and the first thing that they do is they talk to the waiter, right? We have a waiter, we have a manager, we have all sorts of different people who are working in that hotel. So the first thing as a user would do is go and talk to the waiter, and this waiter would come and talk to the customer. He essentially says, what do you need? And as a customer, as a user of this service, you would go and say, I need a set of Italy. Okay, this set of Italy is your request, and you take this request. Not you, the waiter takes this request, writes it on a paper, takes it to the kitchen, delivers it to the chef who's going to prepare your entire dish. After he's finished processing the dish, he gives back the food platter, and the waiter brings back the food to you. Doesn't this happen in the hotel? Have you seen this? This is a very basic thing to notice. And now you take a web app. This is exactly similar what you will be doing here. Okay, you have a web app, you have a front end. Front end is where basically you have all your UI, UX, you have all the visuals of where your user interacts, and this could be like your user coming and entering a form, or your user coming and drawing something on an app, or this could be anything. Basically, a user's input is done on a front end. What this waiter does is typically done by an API. Okay, so imagine the APIs being a waiter which handles communication from the front end, takes a request from the front end, processes it on the back end, and gives out a response for the user to consume. Okay, am I being clear here?
Yes, no.
Cool. And the way the API works is, now let's compartmentalize our entire app. You have a backend, and you have a front end. So let's say a user comes to your website and he types in, I need a picture, a picture of an Italy. Okay, so essentially I told our API would be the waiter. What our API does in this entire picture is, he comes to the front end, he's being called in the front end by the user, directly or indirectly, using our script that we will write. Okay, and this API call goes back to the backend, and the basically the chef, the backend processes that are running, this would process whatever request that came in from the front end, process it, and give out as a response. Okay, so this is how a front end and a back end works. So why do you essentially separate front end and back end? Why can't you just do it on everything on a single app? Has anybody thought of this? Does anybody know how to answer this question? Why do you need a separate entity called backend?
For storing data like database.
Okay, but I can do it also on the front end, right? Why should it be on a separate entity? Why should it be on a separate place? Essentially, you have some programming language running on the front end, you have some programming language running on the back end. Why can't you just talk to the database on the front end itself and completely be done with everything? Why do we need a back end? Security reason. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, take a bank account website.
Mhm.
If the we can use the inspect element to view the front end like that. If the backend also is visible, the hacker can easily take a picture of it like that.
Perfect. That's exactly right. So any business task, any service that you provide, you have some confidential information that you cannot hinder with. You cannot touch that information. Okay. It pertains to every single app. Let's take like this guy told, a banking application. You have records of all transactions. You have records of all accounts. If you do it on the front end, anybody would be able to access the script that gets downloaded to the front end. Front end is basically your browser, right? Front end is basically your browser. So if I go to a website, so let's say I go to licet.ac.in, and I inspect it, I have the entire code over here. So even though it's all the UI, you have all these scripts that people might have written to essentially do all the operations. Like for example, you might have to click a button which gets you which enables you to create a new account. You cannot create a new account on any app, right? And this needs to have some sort of a security, and this cannot be done by any user. It needs to be done by an authorized authority. Okay, so to do this, you cannot really run scripts anywhere. You cannot call the database functions anywhere. You cannot do certain processes anywhere, right? So you need to compartmentalize. You need to separate the process in a place where you cannot really do anything, right? If I have it on the client, if I have it on the browser, if I have it on the front end, anybody would be able to change this code. Anybody would be able to change or alter this code in a way they like, and we don't need that happening in our app. So that's why people usually put all the important or integral data processing into the backend, and you cannot do that on the front end. You can do it, but people shouldn't do that, right? There's a reason for that. So are we clear about what an API is? Are we clear about what a backend is? Are we clear about what a front end is?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So again, this is another important thing. You have a backend. You have any piece of code running on a backend. Let's imagine this backend will be able to let's come to the concept of servers. So what's a server?
A place where data is stored.
A place where data is stored. Okay. A server is basically your app being served in this from the server. Okay. Even though you might have a front end, you might have a back end, anything to be served, you need a server, a web server. Okay. Is someone trying to talk? Okay. And how do you communicate with a server? So we saw an example, licet.ac.in. So they might have a web server that's running to serve websites, to serve this entire LICET website. So as a user, you are requesting the server to respond with a website. Okay, you request the website for a response that contains this page, right? Don't we do that when we go to google.com, and when I search for cat images, when I click on search, the server at Google knows that this is my request. Somebody is requesting for cat images, and it's able to respond back with a page that contains images of cat images, cats, doesn't it? So essentially, a server can serve content, can serve web content in terms of building web applications. Okay. So coming back to server, whenever you request or whenever you receive a response, the internet works like this. It's sent as a HTTP object. And this HTTP object could be read by the server, understood by the server. You perform some operations on the server using this request object, and you respond back with another HTTP response. Okay. So just know this: anything on the internet, on the World Wide Web, is like this. You have a server. Us as a client, our browser being a client, we talk to servers using these HTTP request objects, or read server content by these HTTP response objects. Okay, so that's how you talk to a server. So when you look at when you dissect this HTTP object, you'll find this. Okay, it has a few parts. Okay, this entire request object has a few parts. It has a request URL, it has a request method, it has a status code, and it has a address of where this request needs to go, and a few other information that we might not need. It has headers that has optional parameters and things like that. And the most important part in any request is its body. And in this body, you would pass any information that you would need to send to the server for processing. In our case, in our previous Google image example, whenever we typed any a query, it was sent to the Google server. It was read by this payload, and it was able to understand the backend. It was able to understand the request message and respond with a website, right?
Anna, your screen is getting glitched.
Okay. Is it better now?
Still good, Anna.
Okay, just give me a sec. Is it visible now?
Yes, Anna.
Okay. So like I told, any request has a structure, and your server will be able to understand this request using the structure. It can read its intended status, it can read its intended body, and upon reading this body, you will be able to perform some process over this body and respond with a message or a content. So this is essentially how your entire internet works. You take any website, you take any anything on the internet, you request with an address, you request saying this is what I need, and a server will be able to understand your request and respond back with a content or response. And this response, of course, it's again an HTTP object. Okay, it has a status code, it has a address where it was intended to be sent, it has headers, and it has a body. And this body can be anything. And usually whenever you visit websites, you're essentially requesting a server that responds back with a body of an HTML in an HTML format, right? What we'll be doing here over the backend is, I told you, like, you have a website, let's say you have Twitter. Okay, let's say Twitter. So whenever I click on tweets and replies, so you have all these 4 tabs. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you notice, when I click on tweets and replies, did it refresh the page? Did it refresh the page?
No, it did not.
So how does this happen? Does anybody have an idea? Without, I told you, you have web servers. Upon requesting to this web servers, you get back HTML content or any other content, on any other formats. So far you've seen a web server giving back an HTML content, right? So when I clicked on a particular button, it brought me some data, right? This isn't some website. This is part of the website being rendered. Did you notice? Okay. Just give me a sec. Yes, I'm back. So if you look at the website, you have the Twitter app. So think of this entire Twitter website being an app, and internally you have a button which gets you the latest tweets and replies, or when I click on likes, it gets you the latest likes, right? And this actually happens this way. Whenever you click on likes, a particular resource is fetched from the backend. And like I told, you cannot store or retrieve these, process this Twitter tweets from the front end. So anybody would be able to manipulate these tweets if you do it on the front end. So you talk to the backend, get me a list of tweets that were totally recent. Okay. So when I click on tweets, you can see that on my network pane on the browser, a few resources essentially loaded, and this happens every single time whenever you do something on the web. Okay, you click on a button and you see some data coming or being populated in that place, right? So for every single data that you see on the internet, you as a client give request to a backend which is able to understand what request you sent and respond back with a content. The internet works this way.
Phoebe,
Yeah.
sorry to disturb, but it's glitching too much.
Okay.
Can we do something?
Yeah. Is it better now?
Yeah, better I guess. Yes.
Okay, this is so annoying. So never mind. So you now know what happens on the internet whenever you click on a button, whenever you request for an information, right? So essentially, whenever you talk to a backend, you request with an HTTP object. You know that. And whenever you get back a response from the backend, it's again in a form of an HTTP object. So you will read the body of this response, populate it on the front end. This is how web development actually happens. So your friends at the front end, your friends who might be front end developers, so their job is this: they will talk to a backend. They'll talk to a backend using a REST API. Okay, and this API is basically routes which you call. This API is essentially something that you call from the front end, give some request object to it, and get back a response. Over this entire workshop, you will be writing APIs which will be able to handle a request from the front end, process it, give back a response. So that's what we're gonna do. Shall we get started?
Yes, Sana.
Cool. Perfect. So how many of you are comfortable using JavaScript? And anybody without, like, are y'all here with any form of experience in JavaScript? It could be anything, basic usage of JavaScript. Only Python. Cool. So yes, it's almost time now. We thought we'll stick to 1 hour of sessions every day to continue this workshop. So we'll have to get going faster. And to do this, I know it's like from our side we have a few technical difficulties and it's taking some time and it's very inconvenient for us too. So over the next few minutes, we will quickly rush up and of course we will help you set up your entire system for further setup. Okay, cool. HTML. Arul Prasad, HTML, is it a programming language? Does anybody want to answer the question? Is HTML a programming language?
Right? HTML is front end, right?
Okay, it's a front end language. Okay. Okay, HTML is not a programming language. You cannot expect HTML to do some operation. You cannot expect HTML to open a file for you. You cannot expect HTML to run some loops, or you cannot expect HTML to do any of this programming paradigms. Okay, so that's when people started using JavaScript. So if you look back at the history of us getting into Node.js, it's a very interesting story. So yeah, initially you had just HTML, right? People used to write HTML codes. They were able to write forms. They were able to do some sort of a design over these websites. You would go there, you wouldn't be able to do anything much other than just filling up forms. This was essentially the requirement of the early 2000s and 90s centuries, 90s, and slowly people started developing things like CSS and JavaScript. So that's when yeah.
CSS is a language then.
Again, CSS is not a language. So CSS is another big concept, but essentially CSS is sort of clothing to your website. It's not wired to do something. It's just the way you see things, right? So you use CSS to make things look better. It's style sheets. So coming back, yeah. You had something to say?
No, Anna.
Okay. So you have again, that's when people invented JavaScript. They wanted to do more on the websites. So they wanted to do some animations. They wanted to perform calculations through their website. They wanted to do more with websites rather than just filling up forms. So that's when people started inventing versions of JavaScript. That's when JavaScript was born. Initially, you cannot do much with JavaScript. You cannot write. It was a browser oriented scripting language. You would probably write scripts that would run on browsers. Even until now, people use JavaScript to do some operations. So any website, any web app, or any website that you have on the internet that you watch, that you look at on your browser, has three things: an HTML file, a JavaScript code that wires up everything. It acts like a nervous system, and a CSS which styles your entire document. Okay. So how can I iterated that JavaScript is a browser dependent scripting language. So how can this be compared with Python to write scripts on the backend? So initially people invented JavaScript to be run on the websites, on their websites. So Chrome had a specific set of software which runs all, not just Chrome. Any browser has a specific sort of internal compiler which is able to understand your script and do something out of it, right? And this is called a compiler. Anything that is able to understand your code and do something with it, right? It and can convert it into a piece of information that the computer understands and is able to do something with it. So that's when we come into Node. Okay. So far we know that JavaScript can be run on a browser to do something, and we are about to get into a realm where we can use JavaScript on the backend. Essentially, you can use it as a programming language, not just a scripting language. Scripts are essentially short pieces of scripts are basically code that you write for shorthand purposes. But a programming language, on the other hand, helps you develop an entire application on its integrity, right? So slowly, JavaScript, from being a scripting language, evolved into a programming language, and this was done by the inventor of Node, who thought that JavaScript had potential to become a programming language. What he did was, he took, I told you, right, every browser has this shorthand compiler that runs all these JavaScript code. This guy took this piece of engine, the compiler engine. It was called the Chrome V8 engine from the Chrome. You had Google Chrome. So from that, he took this specific piece of compiler, Google Chrome V8 engine. He altered it in a way that you don't need a browser to run a JavaScript code. So that's how Node.js was born. So Node.js is essentially a place. It's an environment where you can run JavaScript without the need of a browser. You can run JavaScript to do tasks like writing a file, creating a new file, or writing to a database, or more integral operations. So that is how Node.js was born. So whenever people say you doing JavaScript, or you learning JavaScript Node.js, so there is a very common problem, or there's a very common misconception that Node.js is a framework. So until now, how many of you thought Node.js was a framework? Okay, to the ones, Node.js is basically the place where you run all this. Node.js is a stripped down version of your browser. Essentially, it is able to run JavaScript on the server, it is able to run JavaScript as much as you write Python code, right? It is able to understand JavaScript and do something programmatically, or you can say that it enables you to run JavaScript code on the backend. Okay, so that's how we will be using Node.js. And getting into JavaScript, you might have seen you might have used REPL, you might have used Python. You would write some code, it would be interpreted, right, in Python. But on other languages like C, you have to write some code which gets compiled, and after that you interpret that language. You read that compiled, you use that file, right? Over here, it's somewhere closer to Python. So here you can interpret a JavaScript file through Node.js without having to compile it. Okay, this is possible due to the Chrome V8 engine, which just reads the file directly reads the JavaScript code from your file and is able to read it or perform it. So we will look at how you set up the entire Node infrastructure, how you set up the Node.js for you to run code using JavaScript. Okay, so I hope everybody is on your laptop or your PCs. So we will over the next few minutes we will be setting up Node.js, and we'll break for now, and over the next few days we will get back to writing actual backend and testing out how you can talk with these backend technologies. Okay, getting back. And can I know how many of you have already installed Node.js or have an installation of Node in your computer? And how many of you are in Windows? Any Mac users here? Yeah, perfect. So I think 18 of you have Node installed. So let's go over the steps of how you install Node. Okay, so usually if you're on Windows, you go to the Node.js website and you would be able to directly download an executable to install it. Head over to the Node.js website and you'll be able to download this version for your Windows. And there are two versions that you'll find. There's this latest version 17.4 and there's this LTS version. We highly recommend you to use LTS that has more support and it's more stable than the other things. And just pause for a moment, and this is how usually people would do. This is how people would install Node on their computers, but I highly recommend not to do this. Okay, instead you go to NVM. If you're on Windows, go to NVM Windows. You'll find this GitHub repository. Okay, what is NVM? And NVM is a tool that helps you to manage multiple versions of Node. Okay, because you have all these different modules that you will be using over the next couple of days, and some of these modules might work on a later version like Node 14, or some of these modules might not work on 14. You might have to install Node 16. So in order to help you with that, we use a tool called NVM, and NVM will take care of all the management of how you install Node, and you can install different versions of Node using NVM. For people who wanna get NVM, you go to this repository, or better, you'll go to releases. Wait. Yep. Head over to this page. You'll find 1.1.9. That's the latest release. Over there you'll find assets, And over here, if you're on Windows, you'll click on nvm-setup.zip. So you'll download this zip and extract the executable file inside it. You'll run it. So this will basically install nvm on your computer. Quickly do this and let me know.
Could you please repeat that step now?
Okay. You go to this website that I posted on the chat. You scroll down all the way where you find assets. You download the file that says nvm-setup. Okay? Or let me get you the link, direct download link. For the ones who are in Windows, you click this link to download the nvm package. For the ones who are in Mac or Linux, if you're on Mac, see if you have who's on Mac, can you unmute and tell me? Okay, if you're on Mac, just wait a minute. For the others, just install this quickly. It might take a couple of minutes. Please do it and let me know. Even for those who have installed it already, even for those who already have a node installed, just install nvm on your computer. Check if you have nvm on your computer. And for those who are using WSL and who are following with me, just check if you have nvm installed on your Linux instance. So when you are done, react to my message. You check if you completely installed. So if nvm was successfully installed on your computer, you would be able to see this output on which is on my screen. So when you put nvm -version, it should give you the version. So just check if you can get the version of nvm on your terminal. Does anybody have any doubts or anything to be cleared while the others install? We can clear that out. We've seen, a very basic thing about backend, and I wanted to go deeper into backend, but I think most of you are just getting started, so it's okay. We'll go slowly, but just get me some reactions and be more attentive. We have 11 installations, 13. Just tell me when you've installed nvm. Yes, even if you don't understand JavaScript, if you have a working knowledge of using Python or any programming language, that would be enough. So we won't be going into details of JavaScript. There are a few concepts that might help you build better backend. There are concepts that might help you in regards of understanding what is happening under the hood. But in order to follow the entire workshop and write a fully functional backend, just the knowledge of using any programming language would be enough. Okay. Yeah. And for those who don't have a laptop, or please know that this entire workshop is hands-on, and you cannot really continue or do something without. Please try to get a laptop or any computer.
This output will be executed on which command prompt or?
Yes, in order to get the nvm version, you can either open command prompt or you can open your PowerShell on Windows. I highly recommend that you install Windows Terminal. It's an app from Windows Store. You head over to Windows Store and install Windows Terminal when you have time after this workshop. So for the others, in order to check if you've completely installed NVM, you head over to command prompt, you type in nvm ---- version, and you'll get 0.38, the latest version. Just let me know if you have any other versions, it's okay, but just verify if you've installed it rightly.
Now, what is the Windows terminal used for?
It helps you to better organize these terminals, right? You have these command prompt and PowerShell and different terminals at different shells. Windows terminal looks good. It's sort of user friendly. It can help you. It's basically cool. So you can do it without Windows terminal, but just follow up with PowerShell or any shell.
Yep.
Yep. You have 1.1.9. Cool. Any version is enough, but just verify if you have NVM installed on your computer. For Windows, it will get you 1.1.9. I think for NVM, the latest version is 0.38. Just let me know if you've installed. We have 28 installations. Just 2 more and I'll get going. Yes, we have 30. For the others who are finding trouble installing NVM, we will still be here after the workshop. We'll get it set up. I wanted the first day to be short, and we wanted things to be set up completely so that you can follow up the next set of days. And over the next couple of days, it will be completely hands-on. You'll be coding, and you can expect it to be less boring than these lectures that I had now. So after you've installed NVM, head over to the same terminal. Okay, head over to the same terminal, type in nvm ---- list or nvm list. It should list you the versions of Node that are already installed on your computer. Okay, verify if you can see this.
Yes, no.
But it says no installations recognized.
Yes, because you haven't installed Node yet. So that's what we are going to do. I already installed all these versions of Node for my use, but you are going to install Node right now. Okay, so in order to install Node, you type in nvm install and the version of the node that you would like to install. Okay, there are different versions. There are different releases of versions. You have Argon, you have Boron. These are basically different numbered versions, and I recommend y'all using LTS Fermium. Fermium is a version starting from 14 until the latest. So in order to install Fermium, the version 14.8 18.3, you do this: nvm space install space LTS/Fermium. Okay, this would fetch the latest version of the Fermium release of the node in your computer. For me, it says it's already installed. For you, it will install and set node to 14.18.3. Just let me know if you've done that. I'm gonna put the same command over here for others who would like to follow. nvm install LTS/Fermium. React on the command once you've done installing Fermium. So again, Fermium is just a version of Node. It's version 14.18.3. We are installing a version of Node that might be compatible for everybody, so just go with Fermium. It says unrecognized version. If it says unrecognized version, do this. For those who have this problem where it says unrecognized version, you put nvm space install space the version number directly. The version number of latest firmware is 14.18.3. I'll put the command in the Discord chat. For those who get the error where it says unrecognized version, you can use this command. We have 4 installations. Why is it taking time? Because it won't take you more than 30 seconds to do this. Please be quick. We way past than 7 o'clock. We are supposed to end at 7 o'clock. It's downloading. Cool. I mean, even if it's still downloading, just put a reaction. Okay, we have more than 30 installations. Perfect. So to verify if Node has successfully installed on your computer, you type in node ---- version. And it should get you the latest version that you've installed. Just tell me if you've verified Node being installed on your computer.
Is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file.
Okay. Yeah, somebody tried to say
Is
something.
not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file.
Okay, it says this because your terminal, right, your shell of where you're typing the code, it still doesn't know that Node has already been installed. In order for your terminal or in order for your shell to understand that, see, I've installed Node and it's there on my computer, refresh your understanding so that you are able to perceive Node. To do that, you close your terminal and reopen it. Okay, that's how you can. That's one way of doing it. If you are on Windows, close your terminal and reopen it. Close all instances of your terminal and reopen it, and then try typing Node version. Does it work now?
Now, can this be done with command prompt?
Yeah.
Can this be done on command?
Yeah, totally. You can use command prompt or PowerShell, but I would recommend you using PowerShell. It's not working. Can you unmute and say what seems to be the problem there? It gives the same error. Did anybody have any luck doing what I told you? Closing your terminal and reopening it? Were you able to find your Node installation? The others? Same error. Joshua?
Yeah.
Does it happen to you also?
No. If it is okay if I have version higher than Chromium, like 16. Or
It's okay, but I prefer 14 because we'll stick to the same version, every one of us. Okay. For those who have the same problem, now go to your terminal and type in exit don't just close it, type an exit and close it. You type an exit and the terminal should close. Do that and reopen the terminal again. In your case, it's the command prompt or the PowerShell. Do it on your PowerShell. Yeah.
I already had node
Hmm.
form update பண்ணேன்
Hmm.
நான் WSL போட்டேன்னா எனக்கு it is not found in the
Which command? Node is not found. It says node is not found. Okay. You're on WSL, right? For those who are on WSL, please wait. We'll figure out the windows first. After doing what I told, does it work? Or it's the
No.
same issue? It doesn't work?
Same issue. No. It's not that.
Even NVM doesn't give you anything? NVM hyphen version?
No, that works, but Node does not.
No, does not work. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but when I give NVM list, it lists at 14.18 point.
Okay. In order for your node to work, let's try something else. Okay. So you have node, you have installed a version of node, and you were able to verify if NVM was installed and if you were able to list versions of node installed on your computer. So let's say I list the versions that are available. In order for my computer to use a particular version of node, I will use this command nvm use nvm space use and the version's name. In my case, it's LTS/Fermium. Do that, and it should give you a message that it says now using node v14. Verify if you can do that, and yes, get me a message.
Fabian.
Yeah.
I think we should not use PowerShell because it has some security policy. It has extra commands to off the security policy, then do the commands. So let's just make it command prompt.
Okay, for those who are having issues in PowerShell, saying that security issues is, and you can just see if you can do this. Open PowerShell as an administrator. Go to start, right click on PowerShell, open run as administrator. Do that, and you shouldn't have any problem. Yes, I think most of you are having the problem because of the issues in security. Yeah, it should say access denied. Okay, do that. Open start, right click on your command prompt or PowerShell, run as administrator, and just do the command that I recently told you, nvm use. Yeah, whenever it says LTS Fermium is unrecognized version, you do, instead of LTS Fermium, you do v14.18.3. I told that earlier. So perfect. Now it says now using node 14.18.3, right? Perfect. So now verify if you can check the version of the node running on your computer. Perfect. When it says v14.18.3, it works. We are good to go. Just react on Marshall's message when it says 14.18.3 for y'all. We have 8. That's fine.
Now,
Yeah.
in that NVM use LTS Fermium,
Yeah.
I just get a unorganized version LTS Fermium. What
Yeah,
should we
yeah,
do
yeah.
further?
For that, I told you to use this command. Okay, check the chart. Instead of LTS Fermium, you would use the version's name directly. So LTS Fermium is just a nickname for a version. So basically, we're trying to install v14.18.3. So you would use this command. I put it in the chart. For those who have the problem that this guy had, use the command nvm use v14.18.3. Yes, it says access is denied because you didn't open it as an administrator. To open it as an administrator, you open start, type in PowerShell, and right click on PowerShell, run as administrator, and then do the commands. Every time I run the command, it opens a pop-up and it closes as soon as it opens. That's new. Does it happen to anybody else? Whenever you run the command, it opens up a pop-up and closes as soon as it opens. Anybody? Okay, limit, we'll figure that out. Okay. For those who've completely installed everything, good job. You have an active installation of Node. We are good to go. And the next thing that you need to verify is type in npm and check if you get something. npm-version. The next command is npm-version. Perfect. Just react on Marshall's message whenever you get the message.
Is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program or batch file.
npm is not recognized. Did you try node -n version? Did it work for you? Okay, so we need not waste others' time. We'll get back to fixing all of our don't worry, everybody's PC will be set up by now. Even if you don't worry about it, we'll fix it. So tomorrow what we'll be doing is we will be setting up our project on GitHub. We will be following our entire workshops on GitHub, and a very basic knowledge of GitHub is enough, and you would be able to figure this out on your own. Just go over to GitHub. If you don't have an account, set it up. So tomorrow we will be following the entire coursework on GitHub. Okay, just head over to GitHub and create a new account if you don't have. So just do it by today. And tomorrow we will be looking at HTTP methods, and we saw request objects and response objects, right? We will go further deep into what these are and how these are actually used on web servers, right? So we will be doing that tomorrow. And tomorrow we will be setting up the Node project for us to continue working on building Express apps, Express backend servers. So tomorrow we will be doing that, and also we will be setting up a Postman on a computer. So tomorrow when you come, make sure you've installed Postman. It's a software. It's basically how we test our backend. So I'll talk more about Postman and how it's useful to us But before that, before when you come to tomorrow's session, just make sure that you've installed Postman on your computer. Just download Postman and install it on your computer. Okay, I'll get the link to Postman. All the download links will be pinned to the chat, so if you need them, you can head over to the pinned messages at the top. You'll be able to find the links to downloads. So what you'll basically do is you'll install Postman, and there's another piece of software that I want you to install. It's called Beekeeper. We'll learn more about the software. Don't put your head around it. See if you can install it on your own. So when you install Postman, I also want you to create a new account on Postman. Sign up for Postman and create a new account. After downloading Postman, sign in with the account that you just created on Postman. So I want two things to be done. Install Beekeeper, install Postman when you come tomorrow. By the end of the session, by tonight, see if you can get help from the crew over here. We will be able to help you out to install Node and all the necessary things that you need for you to continue the workshop. We will be installing npm, Node, nvm and everything. Verify it before continuing. Is that fine? So tomorrow's session would be in building an Express application. We will be discussing about the different methods through which you can talk to our backend, and we will be getting into database and its applications. So that's all about today, and I hope you had a decent knowledge of what a backend can do and why we have a separate entity called backend. Okay, are we good? Postman Canary. Yeah, Postman Canary is a later version. I just install a stable version. Don't install Postman Canary. But even if you have it installed, no problem. You shouldn't have any problem. So if you've installed nvm, if you can verify until npm version, if you've done that, amazing job. We'll meet tomorrow. And for those who have trouble installing npm on version 14.18.3, those who still find problem in installing LTS Fermium, stay back. The others can leave. Okay, are we good?
Yes.
So those who are gonna leave, just react to my goodbye message before you leave, so that I know that you left on good terms. So those who want help from us, so what we will be doing is we will be splitting all of us into 3 different pools. Joshua, can you take care of a team?
Yeah, done.
Okay, deploy the DMZ team on this. Make sure that everybody has completed what we've done over here. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So head over to the channels that you find. Joshua, go to the join to create new study groups on the channel. And create yourself a room. So you'll find people waiting for you in the study groups channel. If you head over to the bottom, just go there. People will be able to help you out. So right now we have Joshua Frankel's channel. The others from the DMZ, if you can. Yup, we have Pinto. We have Crispin. So head over to their channel and they'll be happy to help you out. And if you have other questions, that don't pertain to the installations, I'll be here for another 10 to 15 minutes, so you can ask.
And guys, the feedback form is posted on the coders chat channel, so don't forget to fill in because this will be considered for your attendance. And once after you finally complete this, only with this we will be providing certificates for you all. So yeah. And tomorrow also we meet at the same time. Okay. So yeah.
So just to be sure, the ones who are here, you are trying to install it on your own, right?
Bro, just a small doubt. If I ever miss a session, can I see it somewhere else?
Yeah, they told you, right? All of the sessions are streamed right on YouTube. You can, even if you miss it, you can head over to YouTube and follow it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.